the audio looks around fine, and as long as the audio mix is okay. Great. So welcome back to Danganronpa Zero. Last time, I had to catch up a little bit. I'm not sure exactly. So last time I remember what happened was we were tied up by Yasuke for some reason. I can't remember why Yasuke tied us up. And then this other character, Yuto Kamishiro, showed up and untied us and explained that he was investigating this incident that happened at Hoku Academy, where 13 students were found dead, and he believes that Junko and Ashima in fact spread that rumor to everybody in the reserve course, and he doesn't really know why. So he is, figuring that out. And he is basically saying that he's going to help with that investigation. And, hang on. Okay, so I can't remember why. I'm just searching now because I can't remember why Yasuke decided to tie Ryoko up, because that's kind of weird. Okay, right, okay. So Yasuke tied Ryoko up because she went missing or something. Is that spam? Hang on. Wait, no, I don't want to see on that one. Is that a spam bot? I don't know anymore. I don't know how Twitch works. Oh, okay. It's the duck song. I'm out, bye. Okay, great. That's very weird, but okay. Anyway, so yeah, Ryoko I guess went missing at some point, and that pissed off Yasuke, who tied her up, and she was, getting all confused about everything, and right, the whole situation about how she made this crazy sandcastle, and then it got destroyed, and she was really upset, and then he was really upset, and yeah. Anyway, at that point he left, and then Yuto showed up and untied her, and is like, I don't even know. Yeah, and so then he explained the incident, and then he disappears, and Yasuke comes up and he's like, how did you untie yourself? And Ryoko has forgotten about everything, including that whole conversation she just had with Yuto, so yeah. She doesn't really care, and let's just think about Matsuda-kun. So, alright, let's continue then. Just checking everything. Everything's going okay? Yeah, sure. Good enough. Good enough for me. Alright, so chapter 13 to 14. The courtyard at Hope's Creek Academy's eastern quarter, deep at night. The light from the surrounding facilities were long gone. Only the street lamps, installed at fixed intervals, still dimly illuminated the darkness. In front of the clock tower on the edge of the courtyard stood a teenage girl, alone. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the clock above her head. "He should be here soon," she whispered. The girl was waiting for someone. Is the audio balance okay, or is the music a bit too loud? I can turn the music down a little bit more if you want. Maybe I will, just in case. Okay. When she first contacted the man, he coldly refused to meet her, insisting that it wasn't necessary. Oh, I think I know what this is. I think I know what this chapter is. Okay. But once he'd procured documents concerning shady deals in his past, she found him much more open to suggestion. It wasn't hard. After all, she made her livelihood discovering people's secrets. In fact, she thought this one had given up a little too easily. What else was he hiding? Fame is a fickle food. You work so hard to get it, and all it gets you is your freedom lost. The The man she was waiting for was a member of Hope's Peak Academy's steering committee. There was a reason she had to meet a member of the committee. There was something she had to ask directly, whatever the cost. There was a certain truth that the committee was earnestly trying to hide. A truth even her client, Hope's Peak Academy's headmaster, most likely did not know. The only avenue of investigation was to question a committee member directly. She had come to that important realization only a few short days after setting out on her investigation. Her formidable talent led her to it. Her name was Kyoko Kirigiri. Yay! So look, we're actually, for once, well, I mean, I guess besides Junko, characters we know from DR1. So Kyoko is in a few parts of Danganronpa 0. So, that's neat. She was a student in Hope's Big Academy's 78th class and bore the title of Super High School Level Detective. And right now, she was employed by Hope's Peak headmaster to investigate a certain incident. He sure is late, she whispered, looking up at the clock tower once more. 5 minutes late. I should have asked him to be strictly on time. The wrinkles on her forehead deepened. At the moment she lowered her eyes from the clock, they disappeared. She saw a figure of a man in the distance. The figure glanced around, seemingly on guard, and then proceeded slowly towards where she was standing. This feature slowly became clearer. He was an elderly man wearing a pitch-black suit and a matching pitch-black necktie, as if he was on the way back from a funeral. His grizzled hair was unnaturally stiff with pomade? I don't know what that is, and seemed almost artificial. As the man came closer, his face also revealed himself. His brow was covered with deep wrinkles that seemed to be chiseled directly into his skull. The sunken eyes below them glared at Kyoko with a disgusted expression. The distance between the two narrowed, and finally, when there were only 3 meters separating them, the man stopped. Was it you who called me here? The man opened his small, straight mouth and raised the question in a severe tone of voice. Was it you who... But his words were cut short. Something absurd, something completely out of place came falling down from the sky. And both the man and his words were flattened by it. Okay, Kyoko felt as if the scene before her was a stop-motion animation, as though she was witnessing a series of ridiculous tableaus. The school desk that came flying down from the sky hit the man directly on the head. The man's body twisted from the impact, then collapsed. The desk struck the ground and then bounced back into the air in recoil. At that point, another disc came flying down from above. It smashed the fallen man's back, bending his body like a trampled ragdoll. Then came yet another falling disc. Then yet another falling disc twisted his neck unnaturally. The man's face showed no sign of surprise. It was stuck in the same expression he had when he talked to Kyoko. Then several more flying discs hit his body, making a huge cloud of dust. How many discs do you need? Jeez, talk about overkill. An overdue, intense crashing noise finally registered in Kyoko's ears. At the same time, a disc came shooting out from inside the cloud of dust, grazed her hair, landed behind her, revolving like a spinning top. It was a freakish development. A development with no rhyme or reason. Yeah, that is a very Danganronpa thing. The detective comes to meet with somebody trying to understand the truth. Then suddenly, a bunch of school desks come flying from the sky and flatten him dead. I don't even know how that would happen. The man who moments ago stood in front of Kyoko had been crushed by a large number of falling school desks as soon as he opened his mouth. It all took place in the span of a few seconds. It took Kyoko only a brief moment to regain her senses. The dust cloud was still rising in the air when she took off running up to the desk pile. There was already a deep red puddle next to the man, who was now buried under the rubble. Dark liquid seeped from his eyes, nose, and ears. Kyoko's mind quickly changed course. She turned her head to look above her. A vague silhouette stood above the top of the school building, slowly coming into focus. It was a human figure, illuminated from moonlight from behind. The figure brandished something above its head, and then threw it. It was a pipe chair, and it was flying straight towards Kyoko. Okay, I'm like, how heavy is a pipe chair? Would that kill her if it landed on her? I don't know, but she jumped aside, dodging the chair's trajectory, and leaped to the school building. Yet another crashing noise came from behind her. She assumed a low posture as she ran through the building's corridor, and then continued to run up the stairs without stopping to catch her breath. At that moment, she didn't care at all that she had just been targeted. She was running purely for the sake of the clue, in an adrenaline rush that erased any sort of danger from her mind. Then, in no time at all, she reached the landing of the top floor, and found the remains of a padlock lying on the floor in front of the door that led to the roof. School should really consider bumping up security. She grabbed the doorknob, muttering cynically. The feeling of cold metal reached her fingertips. She squeezed the knob and pushed. The door opened easily and noiselessly. She immediately felt the strong, cold night wind blowing past her body. She took a single cautious step into the doorway and quickly looked around the roof, dimly illuminated by starlight. There was no one there. I'm just a bit. I'm having trouble trying to figure out the structure of this right now, because if somebody, like, the only way you could, like, just drop it from the roof is if there was, like, obviously there's an opening down there to this corridor, I guess? I don't know. Whatever. It fell from the sky. It doesn't matter. She walked around the concrete floor, thoroughly checking the area near the door and every other place a person could conceivably be hiding in the shadows. Nevertheless, she couldn't find anybody. I just missed them. A feeling of despondency assailed her, and she leaned her back on the iron fence surrounding the roof. Then she looked up at the sky and quietly grumbled to herself. This is why I hate missing persons cases. Suddenly, a cold shiver ran past her back. Something wasn't right. She quickly turned over, pushed her body over the railing, and looked down into the courtyard. Her face caught the cold night wind, and her expression quickly turned grave serious. She could see the wreckage of school desks and pipe chairs near the clock tower. There was something missing. The body that should have been there wasn't. Okay, I think I understand. So they're outside, and there's like a clock tower, and they wanted. She told him to meet outside the clock tower, and so then when he stepped into the clock tower view, the person from the top of the clock tower shoved 3 discs at him. Kyoko's teeth chattered from the cold as she pulled her cell phone from an inner pocket. Just as she was about to push the call button, a hint of hesitation appeared on her face. Nevertheless, her fingers soon pushed the button. After a couple of rings, she heard a man's voice. "Are you free right now?" Kyoko asked, skipping a greeting. "There's something I want to report directly. I'm coming over." It was a few minutes after Kyoko Kirigiri had disappeared from the roof. Bzzzt. A strange sound as if the very air was being torn echoed through the East Quarters courtyard. Zap! Zap! Taser gun! Oh, okay, no, that's exclaimed the high school girl, touting a pistol-shaped object high above her head. What was I gonna say? I'm just reading. Her eyes were focused on the 2 guards lying in the pile of the floor, collapsed. They were both lying face down, and each had a small, thin needle sticking out of their back. A wire ran from each needle to the pistol in the girl's hand. "Take that!" she cried and pulled the trigger. Bzzz. The bodies of the 2 men, who were nearly unconscious, shook and spasmed along with the violent noise. An ecstatic expression appeared on the girl's face as she watched them. Junko and Ashima. She had no makeup on, looked as if she had just woken up from sleep, and kept yawning big yawns. The pistol she held in her hand was a taser gun, a powerful self-defense weapon. It was a type of stun gun. By shooting some target with a needle connected to a wire, she could send an electric current through the target's body. It wasn't originally strong enough to kill a person, but since she'd modified it to send a stronger current, so it wouldn't be so strange if someone did die. Despair-inducing self-defense weapon. One might say it made her unbeatable. I'm surprised she didn't use this in the game, but I guess it probably wasn't introduced until now. Junko and Ashima continued playing with the taser gun for a short while, but soon grew tired of it. She pulled the wires away with her bare hands and threw them into a plastic bag. Then she nonchalantly dumped the bag into a nearby trash can. "Well then, I think that took care of every annoying person in my way. It seems that little Miss Kindaichi also disappeared to who knows where, and that's probably Ryoko. Does that mean I have the place all to myself?" She let out a theatrical sigh of relief and walked majestically across the plaza. Her destination was the clock tower. She didn't attempt to hide herself at all. Quite the opposite, she exhibited a sense of presence that seemed to scream at people to look at her. It also had the sinister suggestion that, by doing so, they might end up dead. That said, I never expected Little Miss Conan to stick her nose. Yeah, okay, that's referring to Kyoko. Little Miss Conan, of course, the high school detective or elementary school detective or whatever. It must be that pesky headmaster's meddling. But my plans for the scenario don't include her at all, so what am I to do? I mean, is it interesting to have her around? It is interesting to have her around, but it's also possible she'll be a real hindrance. After I went all that effort to... Hey, wait. She stopped abruptly, as if to trip forward, and stared at the wreckage of school desks and pipe chairs in front of her. The moment she saw it, the cruel smile that was plastered on her face disappeared. The body isn't here, she spat out. Again? This sure is despair-inducing, as despair-inducing as all your dreams crumbling down. Nevertheless, there was a smile on her face. Smiling, she kicked the pipe chair that was lying on the ground near her feet. It didn't seem like a very powerful kick, but the chair flew a few meters, hit the street lamp that was in its way, and shot off in the air like a ping-pong ball. Then, when the sound of the clash's echo disappeared from the plaza, Junko Onishima's figure was already gone, vanished like a shadow. Well, I love that also apparently Junko Onishima just casually has super strength, like it's no big deal. But hang on, but she was... Wait, sorry, let me just... Okay, so she was at the clock tower. So maybe it's... Because I'm kind of confused because I'm sort of like, was she the one who threw the chairs and the desks so that she went up, somehow hid herself from Kyoko, then went down and checked to see how the body was there to, like, you know, look at her grand work, but I'm confused. Wait, Yeah, no, okay. Huh. So then there's three people here. I guess maybe Junko was there, probably was the one who killed them. And Kyoko saw the body, but it disappeared, and Kyoko didn't make it and Junko didn't make it disappear either. Interesting. What was that noise? Kyoko Kirigiri instantly stopped moving. She thought she heard a sound like a bell clanging, but when she listened attentively, the corridor was still as still and silent as ever. Did I imagine it? Usually she would have stopped and investigated until she could tell for sure, but right now she had something far more important to do. And so she took off quickly towards her destination. Kyoko walked briskly down a corridor of Host Peak Academy staff building, a place students are normally forbidden to enter. The sound of her footsteps echoed coldly throughout the dim corridor. There was no sign of people in the staff building this late at night. She hadn't passed anyone on the way here, and she most likely wouldn't pass anyone going forward. She reached her destination in no time at all. A plaque reading Headmaster's Office adorned the door in front of her eyes. Kyoko glared at it for a moment, and then pushed the door open without knocking. "You're already here. That was fast," said Jin Kirigiri, who was sitting at a desk deep inside the office. He was smiling. Kyoko surveyed the room quickly, as was her habit when entering an unfamiliar place. Her first and only expression was, "It's dirty." Cardboard boxes and documents were piled everywhere without rhyme or reason. "I've been too busy since we moved here, so I haven't had time to put things in order," said Kirigiri, having noticed where Kyoko was looking. Nevertheless, Kyoko's reply was surly and indifferent. She moved straight onto the subject at hand, indicating no interest in small talk. "I just came from meeting a member of the steering committee, but someone got in our way." Kirigiri was about to say something in surprise, but Kyoko quickly continued, as if to say it was not yet time for such a reaction. "He was killed. In front of my eyes." Killed? But his body disappeared soon after that. It disappeared? Despite only managing to repeat her words, Kirigiri's face grew deeply concerned. Nevertheless, Kyoko didn't appear to take notice, and continued speaking in the same indifferent tone. "But don't you think that's strange? They killed him as if trying to show off in front of me, and then they took the body away like they wanted to hide it. If they want to show off, what purpose does hiding the body serve? I have a bad feeling about this." Kyoko seemed to be getting more and more passionate as she went on, and spoke faster and faster. "Furthermore, didn't another committee member go missing yesterday? He may also be in danger. We should find a way to contact or warn him. No, not just him. The whole committee is also..." "Oh, wait a moment!" Kirigiri couldn't take it anymore and rose up from his chair. Are you sure he was dead?" Kyoko said nothing, but her grim face was all the answer he needed. Kirigiri felt an intense feeling of exhaustion taking over his body and sank back into his chair. Why would such a thing? He heard Kyoko letting out a long, deep sigh in response to his question. I'm not sure about the hiding, but I have a guess as to why he was killed. You do? Kirigiri slapped his hand on the desk and looked energized again. Tell me, why? Watching him, Kyoko felt a sense of disappointment watching over her. Her emotion was reflected in her eyes, which seemed to be asking why he couldn't even figure that out on his own. Worse, he didn't even notice that. Please, tell me. Kyoko sighed down the deep sigh and answered quickly. Making that big of a show when killing someone can only mean it's a warning. And if that's the case, killing a member of the steering committee is surely in response to that incident. Jin Kirigiri gulped loudly. So you know about that already? About the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history? To a certain extent. Contrasting Kyoko's calm answer, Kirigiri's face turned sour. I see. He spat out and slowly leaned back into his chair. Then, after blinking several times in an attempt to regain his composure, he asked her another question. Are you saying he was killed because we are covering up the existence of the incident? No, there's more to it than that. Kyoko shook her head lightly. The steering committee hasn't just been covering up the existence of the incident. They've been hiding something else. Something important. I think that's why he was killed. Kirigiri's expression turned thoughtful in an instant. Then he whispered quietly. Perhaps. Is it because the committee knows the identity of the culprit and are harboring them? Kyoko's eyebrows raised slightly in reaction. You know about that? For the first time since she entered the room, her eyes met Kirigiri's. I never thought you knew about the culprit conspiracy. I didn't think you'd give me this job if you did, but I guess you're in on it after all. The words carried a hint of anger. No, that's not it! Kirigiri shook his head, flustered. I was never told about the culprit or the plan to harbor them. The committee decided that on their own. I didn't hear it about it from them. I did my own little investigation. Kyoko's frown grew deeper. You did your own investigation? That's not that strange, is it? Kirigiri smiled a bitter smile. I can manage that much when my mind's on it. I mean, I do have the blood of a detective family running through my— Enough! Kyoko's voice suddenly rose. Kirigiri raised his head in surprise and found her glaring at him. She wasn't even trying to hide the anger boiling up inside her, and it was reflected in her eyes. She wasn't angry at her employer or her headmaster. She was angry at her detested father. Don't even dare joking about that. And that's why. I'm sorry. He had no choice but to apologize. That was thoughtless of me. He bowed his head deeply. His circumstances didn't matter. His own feelings didn't matter. From her point of view, he was simply a man who abandoned his family. That much was unquestionable. He didn't want to make any excuses, not like he could anyway. But perhaps someday he could at least convey his feelings to her. No, those are just selfish thoughts. Look, it's Kyoko, and that's the headmaster. Which I guess, yeah, he vaguely looks like he does. And Komatsuzaki's thigh fetish is showing off in full regard. Having said, it's interesting, seeing her in the Hope's Peak Academy uniform. Because it's interesting because, for some reason, somehow, I still don't exactly understand it other than just stylistically. Everyone has their own school uniforms on their first day of Hope's Peak. And then they just, get changed into it, afterwards? Because it's not that, they're not saying it's all weird, unless, I don't know. Because, on that day where it's, Mikoto shows up to the academy, and he's not wearing the Hope's Peak Academy outfit, school uniform, he's just wearing the other one with the hoodie, so, I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. And, of course, they still got the gloves there, they kept that piece of continuity, and the hairstyle was pretty much identical. Okay, so the thing actually about the uniforms is they're all actually of their, former high schools. They even have their own logos and like names of the high schools they used to go to before being accepted into Homespeak. So I don't know, it's all a bit strange. I still don't really understand the logistics behind that whole thing, but yeah. Forget it. He raised his head at her voice. She was leaning on a bookshelf in the corner of the room, and her expression was back to its calm self. We've gone off topic. Her voice was cool and composed. I'm sorry, you're right. He let out a deep sigh. But just as he was about to let his attention relax, 2 words assaulted him. As if in a surprise attack, they were cold, sharp words that seemed to pierce the air. It was Izuru Kamakura, wasn't it? Ba ba ba! I think that is that the first time? Is that the first time his well, actually we don't know. To be fair, in this story, even their gender is ambiguous. But so is this the first time that their name is mentioned? I think it might be. I think they've been hinted at, but this is the first time. Izuru Kamakura. Like I said, they're introduced in this story. This story came out before Danganronpa Zero, so that's why it's so much more of a big twist in DR2, because Izuru Kamakura wasn't just some plot twist, some plot point they made up for the game. It was already part of the lore. Okay, all right. I've stopped simping for Hajime, but I'll never stop simping for Hajime probably. At least not for another 5 years or so. I need to change my. I think that ran out. What's this one? Beautiful morning. What's this one? Oh yeah, this is pretty similar, but I can do this one. Come on. There we go. Wait, wrong tab. Kirigiri reacted instinctively. His eyes, his fingertips, his breath. Kyoko did not miss the reaction. So it was. His entire body was arrested by the look she gave him. He remembered that look. No, he couldn't just remember it. She had the eyes of a detective family. The eyes he hated and feared. The eyes that could pierce anyone's inner thoughts, creep through their minds and leave nothing unrevealed. His own daughter giving him this awe-inspiring look. Kirigiri's frown loosened just a little. As expected from the heir to the Kirigiri family, such outstanding talent. Is something funny? Kyoko asked, watching his face as if taking him to task. No, I was just admiring you. The smile hasn't left Kirigiri's face. I instructed you to find Izuru Kamakura, and in that such a short time, we've not only discovered the incident, the existence of the largest incident in Homespeak Academy's history, but also guessed correctly that Izuru Kamakura was responsible for it. It was amazing. He spoke fast in excitement. Well then, how about you tell me the rest? Who is Izuru Kamakura? I can't even tell if it's a man or a woman by that name alone. Kirigiri shook his head. I told you before. I can't tell you that. The smile disappeared from his face. I can't tell you that because, well, oh, you know what, let me finish the chapter before I start reflecting. I see. Fine then. Kyoko was getting ready to leave, as if to say she'd find out herself regardless. She looked up at her feet and continued in her disinterested tone. I don't understand this at all. Why would you ask me to find Kamakura for you, if you know they're the culprit? Aren't you trying to cover up for this incident? If so, you should let the committee shout to Kamakura and do nothing. No, I can't just leave it up to them. Oh? Kyogo's mouth twisted unnaturally. So you don't trust them either? No, that's not it. Kirigiri's voice turned cold. It's just, I don't think they know what they're doing. I think they're making a big mistake. A mistake? They think that if they can cover for this incident, it's all over. I don't think that's true. Kyoko listened carefully to Kirigiri's explanation without interjecting. That incident is not yet over. I feel like something is still going on somewhere out there. I hope it's just my imagination, but if it isn't, this may turn into something we can't undo. That's why I must hear what Izuru Kamakura has to say. But the committee isn't revealing where Kamakura is. They don't trust me. Something bothered Kyoko. It had far less to do with what he was saying and more with his demeanor as he was telling her about his fear that the incident was far from over. His voice of tone and his gesture was certainly grave, but that was not all. She felt just a tiny hint of a different emotion hidden in them. She suddenly remembered her grandfather. Kyoko's grandfather, Jin Kirigiri's father, was still the head of the Kirigiri family, on active duty as a detective. She remembered her first accomplishment as a detective. She was officially acting as an assistant on the case, but she was successful beyond anyone's imagination. Her grandfather, being the guardian at the time, had been observing her closely. She remembered him narrowing his eyes without saying a word, the expression on his face going far beyond simple joy or excitement. She thought her father's expression now resembled her grandfather's expression then, but she didn't dare say a word. It would be an insult to her grandfather, who she revered. Is something wrong? The question made her realize she'd been quiet for a while. It's nothing. Kyoko pulled herself together, softly brushing away a strand of hair. Fine. I understand why you asked me to search for Kamakura now. In short, you couldn't do it yourself without drawing the committee's attention. Then she pointed her piercing eyes towards Kirigiri again. But are you sure it was a good idea to confide in me? Kirigiri's expression turned worried. What do you mean? I told you from the very beginning, didn't I? The steering committee is being targeted because they're sheltering the incident's culprit, which means culprit is someone who is searching for Kamakura. Kirigiri suddenly realized what he was saying, and a stiff smile appeared on his face. Is that the case? What you're trying to say is that I am a suspect. That's right, although I already know it's not you. Kyoko folded her arms in front of her chest. Right after the body disappeared, I made a phone call to this room. You answered straight away, so unfortunately, you have an alibi. Unfortunately? That's a bit much, isn't it? Kirigiri's stiff smile turned into a bitter one. Furthermore, don't you think you have other reasons to worry? When I find Izuru Kamakura, what if I decided to call the police before coming to you? No, I'm not worried about that at all, Kirigiri answered, as if mocking the suggestion. Much as the law is important to the police, the most important thing to a detective is the client. As long as you are a super high school level detective, you will not break our deal. Even if you really detest your employer, he thought to himself. Is that why you hired me? You thought it would be bad if I came around sniffing around the incident on my own, so you thought you'd keep me quiet by giving me a job? Her words were tinted with emotion. Kyoko herself felt that. She immediately regretted saying them. If that's what my words implied, I apologize. The only reason I hired you was because I needed your talent. I had no ulterior motives. He chose his words carefully. It was clear that he was worried, and that made Kyoko even angrier. She was also mad at herself for letting him get to her. She had thought she'd put it all behind her. She wasn't supposed to feel anything for her father anymore. She wasn't even supposed to resent him. That's why she accepted the job. It was supposed to be just like any other case. So why was she choosing such sharp words every time she spoke? It was like, I'm a spoiled child looking for attention. I've had enough of this idle chatter, she said in a strained voice, trying to rid the thought from her head. In any case, we can't have any more victims. I think it's a good idea for you to warn the rest of the committee members. Tell them, if they continue to harbor Izuru Kamakura, it's likely more people are going to end up dead. Yes, of course. They both knew the committee was unlikely to listen, but neither of them said it out loud. They both knew it would be useless to mention it. I'll be going now. Kyoko turned her back on Kirigiri without giving him another look. She was on her way to the door when an unexpected voice came from behind her back. This job turned out much more dangerous than I imagined. Kyoko stopped in her tracks. So, she turned her head back. I am a detective, heir to the Kirigiri family. I thought that's what you'd say. Kyoko sensed those words were leading to another unwanted emotion, and started moving quickly to the door again. When she reached for the doorknob, her father spoke again behind her. The preparatory school's parade is growing more radical by the day. His voice was unusually tense. I feel the timing is too perfect. It can't be unrelated to that incident. What I'm trying to say is... Kirigiri cleared his throat and changed to a natural tone of voice. Be careful. He sounded like a father talking to his daughter before she went out for the evening. Nevertheless, Kyoko's reaction was a blunt one. That is to say, she didn't react at all. She simply kept silent as she left the headmaster's office. After hearing the door close loudly, Kiri let out a deep sigh and leaned back into his chair, but his face showed a hint of a smile. That is truly one incredible talent she has. He whispered those words inside his heart. The smile on his face grew wider. After leaving the headmaster's office, Kyoko walked back through the corridors as fast as she arrived. Her face was emotionless. Then, without changing her expression, she suddenly whispered, "He didn't have to say that. I know already." The whisper only she herself could hear soon vanished into the air, and then she herself vanished too, deep into the dark corridors. Chapter 16! Okay. Yeah, right, so just some reflections here. They're like, okay. So the committee is definitely harboring Izuru Kamakura. Jin thinks that's a bad idea. But, like, he also doesn't seem to... You know, the big question I have is if he really knows who Izuru Kamakura really is. What exactly Izuru Kamakura is. Because if he knows what they are, it makes sense kind of why he wouldn't tell Kyoko about it. Because, like, not only does he want to, like, keep this a secret. Oh, hey, Gimster. Yeah, I'm going alright. I'm just reading this light novel and theory crafting. As people do, you know, that's what people do, right? I think not that important, but so you know, if Jin knew what Izuru Kamakura is, you know, I think it's more appropriate to say what rather than who. If he knew what Izuru was, I can understand why he wouldn't want to tell Kyoko about it, because he would almost be like, you know, he didn't want Kyoko to know that. Oh, by the way, Hope's Peak Academy have been conducting probably hella unethical human experimentation. And I knew about it and did nothing to stop it. Because, you know, the last thing he wants to do is get called out by his daughter about stuff like that. And it's that, you know, from what I can tell, at least, you know, from my reading between the lines, the idea is that the steering committee is still sheltering Kamakura because they still believe that Kamakura's superior talent is just, you know, something that's integral for the future of the world, essentially, even if they may or may not have killed 13 people. So it's like, because they have talent, everything can be brushed aside, and they just want to, like, hide them until this whole thing is, like, forgotten about. And then, you know, when everyone's forgotten about it, be like, oh, hey guys, look at this incredibly talented person who we just, discovered. They will be deciding the fate of the world because they are good at everything. But, yeah, we'll see. Chapter 16. And so, after everything that happened, I, Ryoko Otanashi, and Yasuke Matsuda-kun made the decision to drop out and put Hope's Peak Academies behind us. Right now, we are waiting for our flight at the airport lobby. Soon we will both board an airplane and embark on our trip to America, the land of the free. I have finally realized what's important. As long as I have Matsuda-kun in my world, I don't need to fuss about such trifling matters as Hope's Peak Academy. I have no obligation to participate in this irrational story. If you happen to be interested in what happens next, by all means, go ask someone else. We're busy. After we get to America, we're going to develop a new species of corn at a corn plantation, and then go to NASA and work on relocating to the moon. Hey, Matsuda-kun, I say, turning towards Matsuda-kun, who was already hard at work growing corn under the seat next to me. Hey, we're not at the plantation yet. Isn't this too early? Don't interfere. I'm busy Okay, let me read it properly. Don't interfere. I'm busy planting the Cybermen. He replies while planting the gruesome seeds to the ground. It's been interesting reading your thoughts on the series on Tumblr recently, Gabby. Oh, right, people actually read that. Yeah, you know, that's where my absolute Hajime brain rot is. My brain is just Hajime. And, like, Nagito and Danganronpa 2 and the, like, wider Danganronpa lore shit. Like, I mean, it's also because I've been having some conversations with some friends with people on Discord, and just, like, this stupid, like, Danganronpa Zero lore and, like, there's Junko, and then there's Makoto, and hoping to spare shit, and like literal superpowers, and it's like, fuck it, like it's amazing, and that's why it's just in my head all the time, and that's why I want to keep reading Danganronpa 0 so I can remember this stuff off the top of my head. Oh, thank you for reading my random thoughts and shit. It's nice to know people are interested in what I have to say, you know, that's what's fun about being a content creator. You can't, Matsuda-kun. Scythe require rich soil to grow. Nappa-sama is going to be so upset. But he is not listening to my advice, and bang, 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 I opened my eyes. I didn't even realize there's a fucking dragon, another fucking Dragon Ball reference in there. Oh well. I raised my body up warily and took a look around the room. A beige carpet, a small dresser, empty bookshelves. Here and there, small notes reading, "This is my room," were pasted on the wall. Since they were here, I knew that this was indeed my room. I gave a sigh of relief, and then I realized I didn't have time for that. Bang, 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 bang. Someone was knocking violently on my door, as if trying to bring it down. I'm coming, just a minute. Bang, 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 bang. Lots of bangs. Not only didn't they wait, they also started knocking in a strange rhythm. I sobbed, crawled out of bed, and then realized I had been sleeping with my shoes on. Huh? I thought as I removed them, picked up the notebook that was lying next to my pillow, and rushed the door. Who is it? I unlocked the door and then opened it softly. Yoo-hoo! A blonde girl in loud makeup peeked vigorously through the gap. Ah! I reacted with surprise. Hey, how much longer were you planning to sleep? It's noon already, you know. What are you, a giant? Huh? Oh, wait, Sleepy was a dwarf, wasn't he? Sorry, my bad. I opened my notebook to check who this mysterious person, who didn't seem to care about the proper way to start a conversation, was, but... Oh, have you forgotten about me? Let me tell you then. My name's Junko Enoshima-chan, aka super high school level fashion girl. Or Gyaru, or whatever you want to translate it as. Junko Enoshima, huh? I hurried and looked for memories of her in my notebook. Soon, alarms started going off inside my head. That's right, this is the girl who called herself a murderer and tried to get me involved in something I absolutely mustn't get involved in. Go away! I screamed as if my brain was coming to a boil. I closed the door in a panic, but she had already forced her foot through the gap in the door, in the style of a door-to-door salesman, and stopped me from doing so. Oh, are you perhaps thinking you can run away? That kind of attitude's just gonna hurt my feelings, you know. I don't care, just go away! I used my body's strength in an attempt to push the door closed, but it didn't budge. Ding dong! Eureka, I got it. You think I'm a strange girl, don't you? You think there's a screw loose in my head, don't you? Could it be that you don't even want to hear what I have to say? Is your conviction that strong? In that case, big shock! Enoshima-san opened her eyes wide and spread her arms forward as she said the last two words. What the? Huh? Don't you think it's funny? I was so sure I could make anything bad out of this expression. Big shock. Why do I get a feeling that she's saying that in English in the Japanese? Also, like, this is fucking... They did a thing like Precure, and this is like Meshoku. Meshoku. Anyway, she seems to live in a different dimension than me. I'm the one who should be in big shock right now. No, that's not it. I mean, what do you want from me? Well, we can't stay here at the door all day, so excuse me, coming in. She pushed the door open with what seemed to be the strength of 100 men and invaded my room. No! I tried to escape deeper in the room, but Enoshima-san managed to reach and grab me by the back of my neck. This isn't the time for you to be running away, is it? Aren't I the grand thief who stole away your precious notebooks? Did you hate me? Don't you just despise me? No, I don't think Junko normally did English. At least I can't remember it. But, you know. I don't care anymore. I don't need those old memories anymore. I mean, it's not like I can remember any of them. I struggled violently and somehow managed to shake her hand off. Then I jumped into my bed as fast as I could, covered my entire body head to toe with a blanket, and yelled a plea. Just leave me alone. Don't involve me in whatever it is you want to do. It has nothing to do with me. Then, oh, so you're going to lock yourself in your own little world? I heard Enoshima-san's indifferent voice through the blanket. But that would mean you're just going to let Yasuke Matsuda die. Are you really okay with that? In a second, my sunken emotions poured out all at once and spread all the way to my chest. Oh, what did you just say? Are you going to do something to Matsuda-kun? I shot like a bullet from under the blanket and hurried towards Enoshima-san. Then something unexpected happened. Smiling, Enoshima-san hugged me. Huh? I was still dumbfounded when she began whispering in my ear. Yes, that's good. You should hate me so much you want to kill me. The more you despise, the more despair-inducing this story's ending is going to get. And that would be perfect. Wait, let me go! Hate me, despise me, fight me, tear off that shell of yours and let your true self reveal itself. This is not the time to lock yourself inside your own world. Let us give birth to a new you. It may hurt right now, but there's no need to worry. These are just birth pains. When you overcome them, it would finally be time to say happy birthday to your true self. I took a bite into Enoshima-san's ear. Ow! Ow! As she faltered, I jumped out of her grip. Give me a break! Why do I have to get involved with something like that? It has nothing to do with me. Whether you have or don't have anything to do with it has nothing to do with it. She stroked her bitten ear and turned to me, an ecstatic smile on her face. Traffic accidents, natural disasters, wars. Do you realize how many people in the world lose their lives to things that have nothing to do with them? But it's just the same. Well, at least it's the same to me. I started praying. Dear God, listen to my prayer. Please drop a meteorite on this girl's head right now. If you do, I will revere you for the rest of my life, right after Matsuda-kun. Besides, you have everything to do with it. You only say you don't because you simply don't remember. Huh? My prayer was instantly swallowed by intense bewilderment. What has something to do with me? It's obvious, isn't it? Enoshima-san arbitrarily lowered her voice and declared, the worst, largest incident in Hope's Big Academy's history. You are deeply involved with it. It quickly turned to consult Ryoto Otonachi's memory notebook, but Enoshima-san grabbed my hand. Let me go! Did you really think the things you can't remember are worthless and meaningless? If you did, you really are a dummy. She smiled a faint smile and drew closer. You see, it doesn't matter how much you forget. Your actions are not going to disappear. Their effects are still felt right now in that world you've forgotten about. What? Did it never cross your mind? Did you never imagine decisions you made ended up hurting and tormenting people? That's not... It's a cruel world out there, but it's the one we live in. People are intertwined in ways much more complex than you had ever imagined. A single person's actions may save the entire world. A single person's actions may cause a chain of despair that throws the world into chaos. Isn't that amazing? Truly, this is a world worthy of being lived in. It was such worthless, silly logic that I felt embarrassed just listening to it. But there was something there. Somewhere deep inside my heart, I found myself agreeing with her words. Do you get it now? In that case, let's return to the conversation's starting point. Enoshima-san crossed her arms. I'm going to talk fast, so pay attention. You most certainly are involved with the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history, but I assume your next question is, exactly how am I involved? Isn't it? This is going too quickly. I'll tell you then. She ignored me and then continued. That is, I can't really tell you. Which is it? I wish she would at least be clear on this point. I mean, it's boring if I tell you right now. At least that's what I think. That's why I think you should find out on your own exactly what your involvement with the incident is. I think that's the kind of story this is. But find out on my own? Does she think this is a game? You're probably asking yourself if I think this is a game, but I'm not going to tell you either way. That's the kind of story this is. But this is the perfect time for me to add that I'm going to give you a hint. That's the kind of story this is, you see? I gave up. Her speech was completely absurd. I couldn't even understand the point she was trying to make. Which means, what exactly? I just told you, didn't I? I'm gonna give you a hint. Enoshima-san looked offended. By the way, once I give you the hint, my role here is over. After I give it, I'm going to go away without saying another word. You're going to go away? You are? Really? I thrust my body forward instinctively. I felt energy I've never felt before taking over my body. Then tell me, and then go away. Fine. It's not like my feelings are hurt or anything. Bug her? Enoshima-san trembled as she was shocked at my unexpected joy. By the way, this is important, so make sure you write everything down. Sure, I got it. So let's just get on with it. As I pressed her, I took out my notebook. She coughed a little cough and raised her voice as if making an important announcement. Ta-da! Here we go. This hint is all about Junko Enoshima-chan's goals. She made up a V sign with her right hand. There are 2 such goals. She dropped one finger from the V on her her left index. Oh, that's really cute. I get it. She got a V. This is all about her goals. There are 2 such goals. 1. Goal number 1, to thoroughly crush this school's symbol of hope, Izuru Kamakura. Then she raised her middle finger. Goal number 2, oh no, that's me flipping the bird, never mind. Goal number 2, after a short pause for dramatic effect, she raised her voice to its maximum volume and continued. To kill the beloved darling Yasuke Matsuda. I heard a thump and I realized I dropped my notebook on the floor. My body stiffened. I couldn't even speak. To kill the beloved darling Yasuke Matsuda. Those incomprehensible words routed buds of fear, of anxiety, confusion inside my body. The seeds grew and stretched for a single instant, fixing my body in place. I felt as if I was cast in plaster, unable to move even a single finger. I'm sorry, I just can't get over the fact I unintentionally flipped the bird without even thinking about it. That is super, super embarrassing. And Ashima-san watched my suddenly silent figure intently for a brief moment, and then everything was silent. Her mouth was a straight line, tightly closed, as if declaring her intention not to speak anymore. Then, after standing there quietly for a few moments, Enoshima-san made a small goodbye wave with her hand and left the room. The moment I heard the door closing, my body lost every bit of energy and I crouched as if struck down by anemia. What the? My voice squeezed deep within my throat, sounding like the chirps of a dying bird. Matsuda-kun? She wants to kill? Kill, 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 kill. The cruel word took over my entire body. She can't. She definitely can't. My head was hot enough to make my hair rise. She can't do such a thing. My chest was also hot. Intense burning emotion made my heart explode. And then something strange happened. Magma-like heat boiled up deep inside my stomach, gradually swelled inside my body, and exploded when it reached my chest. It escaped my heart and reached every muscle in my body. I felt rejuvenated, stimulated. I can't let her do this! I leaped out of the room and into the corridor, yelling I ran like a bullet. In a fever, I couldn't believe myself. The pages of Ryuko Otonashi's memory notebook fluttered in the wind. As I listened to the flapping noise of my trusted partner, I screamed inside my heart. I will protect my own world. I will save Matsuda-kun. I ran through the dormitory's corridors like a hurricane. Matsuda-kun, wait for me. I will be there soon. Ryoko Otonashi is running. I am running. So I can become the savior of my and Matsuda-kun's world. But at the time, I hadn't noticed yet. I hadn't noticed that my frantically working towards a goal was itself the beginning of my despair. I hadn't yet noticed this despair-inducing reality. Oh shit! Huh! That's the end of the first book. Huh. That's a surprisingly strange place to end it on. Because it kind of feels like it's only like the last two sentences, like the last 3 sentences where it's just kind of like a, oh, and this is let me give you a reflection of actually the entire story and the truth behind everything in the last 3 sentences. Well, obviously this is somebody, writing out the raw text. That there are it's not like the book literally looks like this. It's probably a bit more formatted, a bit nicer, but the Monokuma faces are probably still there. Yes. Because it doesn't really. I'm just thinking, if I got the first one, and if I read it like this, would I want to get the second one? Probably, because there's so many questions. But I mean, it's only been an hour, so I can definitely start. I was like, it could be good to end it off there, but I'm gonna start the second book because it's only been an hour. But first, let's stay hydrated. Alright, so yeah, so this, it wasn't necessarily this is part 1, part 2. I just assume, just the way light novels are done, it's probably best to split it into 2 things, So, we start off in the second book. Yasuke-kun, What is it? Hey, Yasuke-kun. I said, what is it? Why are you angry? Are you for real? Because I spent my entire day trying to find a criminal. You should have said it was you who destroyed it all along. Why'd you lie about it? Oh, I didn't really lie about anything. I just didn't mention it. It's the same thing. Why did you do such a thing? Oh yeah, now for the book with Yasuke on the cover. Yeah, this is the first one got Ryoko, the second one's got Yasuke. You put them together and it's basically like Yasuke grabbing Ryoko while Ryoko's just so confused about everything. It's because you never leave your house anymore, Yasuke-kun. I thought maybe if I made a sandcastle, you'd come look. There's no sense in making them if you don't come look at them. It's none of your business. Yasuke-kun, why were you hiding? Shut up. Don't you like people seeing you cry? I'll hit you. You can't hit a girl, Yasuke-kun. You're just another dim-witted girl with no personality. I won't cry, okay? I'm not trying to make you cry. I won't cry because the person who really wants to cry is Yasuke-kun. What are you saying? I don't cry. Why do you keep pretending to be strong? I'm not trying to be strong. You don't have to pretend to be strong in front of me. I don't care if I'm a dim-witted girl with no personality. Anyway, if I saw you crying, I bet I'd like you more. That's kind of gross. It's fine if it's gross. Besides, I've decided something. Even if you hide, I'll always be by your side. You can't escape me. You sound like a stalker. I'm not a stalker. I'm your lover. Since when were you my lover? Is that something you decided by yourself? Hey, since we're lovers, I'll be with you when you're sad. I'm not really sad. There you go, pretending to be strong again. I'm not pretending to be strong. I'm just not sad. Yasuke-kun. In the end, she didn't even remember who I am. She just figured I was just some kid she didn't care about. I couldn't even call her mum anymore in case she'd get scared. I had to pretend to be someone else's kid. I'm not gonna cry for her sake. Now that she's dead, I've got a load off my shoulders. I don't have to be an actor in a play anymore. A girl with no personality as opposed to a girl with many of them. Ooh, don't spoil it though, but ooh. But, oh wait, is that finished? Oh wait, hang on. Okay, what's next? I'll begin to box 15, yeah? But it was because of the disease. I said it was unavoidable, didn't I? I'm sick of hearing it. The doctor was always saying that. The doctor didn't do anything. If he really was a doctor, he would have cured my mom's disease. He sounds like a phony. If I were a doctor, I would have cured a disease easily. Are you going to cry? I said I don't cry. Don't worry. I'll never forget about you, Yasuke-kun. What? That's a weird thing to say suddenly. It's not weird. I really mean it. Even if I forget everything else in the world. Oh, it's too loud? Okay, sorry. I thought that would... Oh, wait, I'm an idiot. I know why. I know why it is too loud. I have too many tabs open. I forget about these things. The reason why it's loud is because I changed the volume on my headphones instead, so I thought it was softer than it actually was. Anyway, let's keep going. Don't worry, I'll never forget about you, Yasuke-kun. What? That's a weird thing to say suddenly. It's not weird. I really mean it. Even if I forget everything else in this world, I'll absolutely remember you. If you do forget, what will you do? Then you'll kill me, Yasuke-kun. If you become a doctor, you'll be able to cure any disease I have, won't you? Oh, yeah, I guess. And if you forget, I'll remember you. But if I don't remember, we'll still be together forever. We'd spend our whole lives looking out for each other. I knew it. You really are a stalker, aren't you? Anyway, we'll always be together. Hey, since we'll always be together, it's okay to do a bit embarrassing things. It's okay to cry. You can cry forever. You really are weird. So have you given up? You won't laugh at me? I won't laugh at you. You won't try to comfort me? I won't try to comfort you. You won't tell anyone? I don't have any friends to tell it to. I don't have any friends either. Or any family. For the first time in his life, Matsuda Yasuke cried in public. That's really nice and really heartbreaking at the same time. I would have loved to see that animated. God fucking damn it. I know people when DR3 came out, I think people were a bit annoyed that, you know, there was like none of the Danganronpa Zero content is animated at all. But a scene like that would be, you could, like, you know, you could do so much with that direction. Chapter 2! Hope Speak Academy's East District, the faculty building. Also, is there... just tell me if the audio's okay and everything. Well, no, I'm not. I'm talking about the animated. I don't know. I've heard people being like, why don't we turn Zero into a game? But I don't know if we really could. I mean, tell you what, you know what? Anything could really be a visual novel if you try hard enough. You could, but I don't know if they'd really do that. Because it's also, you know, the thing is, DR0, it's a very Kodaka thing. Like, he wrote it pretty much all himself, I assume. So, and he's not at Spike Chunsoft anymore. He's doing this thing with 2Q games, where they just do like, they essentially just like pitch IPs to other people and then they come up with the ideas collaboratively like that. So, who knows? But yeah, Danganronpa Zero is cool. It would also help people who are like, you know, because the problem with Danganronpa 3 is it's just very cheap and easy and not very complicated, and despite all of the themes, it really doesn't come together in a way that like seemed really neat. Not as much stylish, not that stylistic either. Like there's some style to it, but it's I don't know. It's just like in a stupid anime bullshit way, and not in the like weird, interesting ambiguity and like meaning of hope and despair of this weird sort of alternate world with somewhat of a social satire to it. I don't know. Like I'd love it. I'd love if they had something like that. DR3 is not really that. It takes the concepts and the things that they say happen in Danganronpa, and it plays them very, very, very straight and without much of an interesting twist to it. And it's a bit disappointing, TBH. But also, I think, you know, you really need a lot of directing chops, I think, to make a Danganronpa like Danganronpa anime. You just can't do it. You just don't do it justice by just having a straightforward adaptation and a straightforward script. Danganronpa itself is just too stylish for something like that. It just doesn't. You need to really, really do something special, and Danganronpa 3 is not special. It just gives me some fun little fan service moments, but it's nothing special. Alright, Chapter 2. Hope Speak Academy's East District, the faculty building. In the unpopular 4th floor's corridor, only two steps of footsteps could be heard. One step of footsteps belonged to the school physician. The other belonged to super high school level neurologist Matsuda Yasuke. The physician with dark shadows of... I just realized, like, the last few chapters, I think they've been doing, like, Junko Enoshima and Kyogo Kirigiri. They've been doing it, like, the English name with the family name last, but now they switched it back to Japanese order. Anyway. The physician with dark shadows over his face led Matsuda, a depressing feeling floating in the atmosphere. Matsuda wore his usual dingy white shirt that fit loosely, the hem of his shirt met his trousers, and he wore a jacket off the top. Of the top or off the top? It clung to his shoulders stiffly as he walked, most likely because he never wore it. I'd really owe you one for this, said the physician walking ahead of him. Matsuda raised his head. He's nowhere near my specialty. I was extremely troubled on what to do, so I appreciate your cooperation with this. He had a relieved sounding voice. Matsuda replied in an indifferent voice. Still, in the future, you should talk to an expert about this. But if you can't do that, come to me. That's all there is to it, right? That's... The physician choked back his words. Matsuda could not see his face from his position, but he could easily imagine the man in front of him looked concerned. Did something happen? Matsuda took some deep breaths to calm himself. It's fine. I'm not going to use the excuse that I'm a student on you. No, instead I should be helping the experts more. I see. In any case, I owe you my thanks. The physician's face returned to normal. However, in turn, Matsuda only became more tense and irritated. He reminded himself to suppress his emotions. Either way, there's no turning back. So I can protect her. I need to keep going on. No, instead, I need to keep falling down? The physician continued to lead him around the corridor corner. Matsuda followed him. The atmosphere immediately changed. This part of the corridor was eerily silent. He felt the temperature rapidly drop. On one side of the corridor, every window was covered up by thick curtains. The other side was lined with a number of doors, and on each door there was a darkly tinted small window. Each corridor was longer than the last. The faculty building was exactly as Matsuda had imagined it would look like since he first learned of its existence. Usually all the rooms are vacant, the physician abruptly began to explain. He may have sensed Matsuda's questions. So then, I suppose he means these rooms are only really used in an emergency. He followed the physician, looking around absent-mindedly. The physician who had been looking ahead of him stopped suddenly. This is it. As he said that, he gestured to the door next to him. There wasn't anything unique about the door. In fact, it was a miracle the man was able to identify the door. Apparently all the equipment has already been delivered, but can you really go by yourself? The principal had asked for 2 people. It's fine, Matsuda replied flatly. No, but... The physician hesitated. Matsuda had rendered his argument useless. The principal and the steering committee have given me full access. In their absence, they have left it to me. Besides, it would make no difference if 2 people went. Actually, it would probably affect the subject in a bad way, so I ask of you to please leave the rest of it to me. The physician looked subdued. He quickly gave up and nodded, not bothering to argue anymore. I see. Well then, I'll leave it to you. The physician turned away from Matsuda and walked around the corner into the depths of the corridor. After Matsuda watched the man walk away, he turned his gaze to the door in front of him. He slowly opened the door Behind him was a dimly lit, wide space. The first thing he noticed was the school was filled to the brim with various electronic devices. This place had more high-tech equipment than the school's humble school hospital or the research facility. Well, that's Hope's Peak Academy for you. That was the impression the room before him gave Matsuda. However, he felt tense as he stepped foot into the room. The fluorescent lights over him seemed to be unreliable in comparison to the ones used in the classroom. The window on the back wall was also covered with a thick hanging curtain. The overall lighting in the room was quite dark. Due to that, the light emitted from the electronic devices stood out more. In the center of the room was a bed, surrounded by shining lights. Matsuda's line of sight drifted towards the figure on the bed. There was a man sleeping. He slowly walked to the side of the bed closest to him and looked down at the man. He had shallow facial features and a pure and honest face, as if he was a swordsman out of a movie based on feudal Japan. But something caught his eye more. There was a bandage wrapped several times over a painful-looking wound on his head. Matsuda knew who he was. The man's name was Murasame Soshin. In the top position of the student council, he was the super high school level student council president. He was also one of the survivors of the largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. As if examining, Matsuda turned his gaze to the man. The man, lying on his back, had his eyes firmly open, although they saw nothing. They stared straight up at the ceiling without moving, without blinking. It's been a while. Matsuda tried calling out, but there was no response. He picked up the medical record next to the bed. He had already been told what was written in there beforehand, more or less. Murasame Soshin was involved in the largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history, during which he suffered serious head trauma. Fortunately, he escaped any life-threatening injuries. He was supposedly able to recover, however... The formatting this is a bit... Fortunately, he escaped several life-threatening injuries. He was supposedly able to recover, however, However, for several days, even after several weeks, he was still not responsive at all. The reason as to why remains unknown. As Matsuda returned the medical record to the bedside table, he tried raising his voice again. Do you know who I am? I'm Matsuda Yasuke from your class. I'm a super high school level neurologist they were talking about. We've met several times before. As expected, there was no response. Matsuda continued to prompt him. So, why do you think I came here? As he sat down, he looked at Murasame's face. He stared intently, searching for a hint of a reaction. I was asked by the school headmaster and members of the steering committee. I said I wanted to help your recovery. Even though I said I wanted to hear about what happened, they wouldn't tell me anything. In fact, they did the opposite. In order to cover it up, it seems they want to hear the full story from you. Matsuda paused and emphasized the words that followed. Well, that's supposedly their intentions. Okay, yeah. As in, like, they want me to hear the full story from you. Yeah, Murasame confirms to the same class as Yasuke. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm just like, because, okay. You know, because I've heard, like, people say... Actually, no, I think it's... I heard people say that Yasuke is a year older than Makoto's class. Although I'm not sure, you know, where the confirmation is. But, like, you know, if we say that... like, my brain's going crazy right now. Okay, so, you know, we would assume then that, like, Hope's Peak Academy would have, like, 3 years? Because, like, you already go through a year of high school first, and is high school 4 years? But at the same time, Hope's Peak Academy has 5 floors, and there's, like, classroom 5A and 5B, which makes it sound like they go for 5 years, but that doesn't seem very possible. Is it said somewhere where Ryoko meets Yuto? Maybe, I'll have to go back and look and check. But, so, I can't imagine Hope's Peak going for 5 years, because that's just... No, wait, no. No. The reason why we think it's for 3 years is because that's what it is in the Ultimate Talent Development Plan. They go for 3 years and then they graduate. So, if he's a year older than them, and they have already... The tragedy is kind of, sort of... happening? No, okay, no, because... They would have already had to have been there... Okay. Sorry, okay. Let me just think about this from the timeline. Okay, so... Let's put it this way. Izuru Kamakura already exists, which means that... No, wait, no, because they're the year old... Yeah. No, this making sense. Because they're a year older... If they're a year older... Okay. Okay, I'm getting very... Alright. Okay, so... At least the way that I can remember... I can figure this stuff out. The way that I thought about it was just like, you know... During the time of the tragedy, the 3 years of Hope's Peak kind of was like... Year 1... You know, first years were Makoto's class. Second years were... I would say Hajime's class, but Hajime isn't technically part of that class, but it's in the, you know... Whatever. And the reason why... At the very least, that has been confirmed now because because Danganronpa 3 said that, like, the DR2 class was part of class 77. So maybe that might mean that Yasuke is part of the other class 77. Like 77B or A or whatever the hell it was. And then that would mean that the student council president is also part of that. But then I'm wondering if if I thought they were like the 3rd years at this point. They were in their final year because it would make sense the student council president was like the part of the oldest group of Hope's Peak Academy students. I'll definitely have to look this stuff up because there's probably... I wonder if there's conflicting information or I just don't know this properly. Anyway, there's my rambling there. If you ask me... Oh, as always, Murasame didn't respond, but Matsuda continued anyway. If you ask me, they don't like that you came back. That's why they sent me. So, even if I do everything I possibly can, you can't stay. So I don't really care either way. Having you gone will probably work out for the best for them. But what do I do if you don't disappear? If you do come back, that'd really screw over their plans, won't it? When that happens, I wonder what they'll do. Once they get the story out of you, they'd be under a lot of pressure. As Matsuda explained the circumstances, he picked up Matsuda's right hand. After lifting it up, he soon released it. However, the man's hand showed no sign of strength and dropped straight back onto the bed. But I don't really know about that either. They're trying to hide and abandon the student council president. Because there's a criminal behind the incident, isn't there? Matsuda leaned forward. Their faces were almost touching. He looked deeply into Murasame's unseeing eyes. One false move and this will turn to yaoi. Hang on. Excuse me. Yaoi rompa? Like, did the translator add that part in? That doesn't sound... Okay, whatever. So, what do you think? Do you know the culprit? You need to tell me. Why are they protecting them? As always, there was no reply. Whether from this expression or from his expression or his eyes, there wasn't a hint of recognition. It really is useless. Matsuda shook his head, looking frustrated. Well, it's just the examination that was the failure. He muttered grumpily as he scratched his head. Oh, that's right. He suddenly remembered something. Then he asked in a tone feigning casualness. By any chance, do you know anyone by the name of Enoshima Junko? Murasame twitched slightly, and his eyes moved. Matsuda's expression turned into a glare quickly. Murasame turned directly towards him. Seeing that, Matsuda's reaction was surprisingly quite calm. I knew it. He couldn't help but feel discouraged. It would be better if he was still unconscious. But not surprisingly, he wasn't. But that was also to be expected. Matsuda had prepared it for a long time ago. He had no choice but to fall down from here, like a fate that he'd been doomed to since the very start. He was cursed to an unchangeable destiny. He knew he couldn't stop it, no matter what he did. The ground he was firmly walking on until now had collapsed. As he fell to the bottom of the deep abyss, and he could taste it in his mouth. It was just a metaphor, but it was also quite real. Even if he fell, Matsuda knew exactly what was happening. Okay. See, I guess the problem it's the combination of this story being so vague and Danganronpa 3 probably retconning things. It's like why is Yasuke asking about? Is the point here that Yasuke is trying to see if Soshun knows about Izuru, or mentions anything about Izuru, and if Soshun knows about Izuru and what Izuru did, that the steering committee wants to know that so they can basically kill him to cover up any sort of incidents or any sort of knowledge of Izuru's existence. That's what I'm thinking is going on here. I guess if it's just for the steering committee, then it would make sense. Because if Yasuke is asking about Izuru as if, like, Soshun knows something about Izuru, as if, like, Yasuke doesn't know. Because, basically, according to Danganronpa 3, Yasuke should definitely know about Izuru. He should know, like, practically everything about Izuru, because he's partially responsible for him. And that's never, like... I'm still not sure if Danganronpa 0 is saying that Yasuke knows that or not. But okay, let's put it this way. And Danganronpa 2 says that they made Izuru by interfering directly with his brain. Yasuke's talent is the ultimate neurologist. Like, you put 2 and 2 together, and you assume that, yeah, Yasuke was probably very much involved in the creation of Izuru, but we don't know. It's all too vague at this point. Maybe I'll do one more chapter, and I'll probably leave it there. Sorry, I keep opening the wrong tabs up. I've got too many tabs up. Okay. Chapter 3. The sun's dazzling light beat down on the pavement outside the dormitory, so brightly I couldn't help but squint my eyes, though it wasn't enough to feel it on my skin. In fact, I even shivered a little as the chilly wind ran past me. Despite all this, I felt relaxed and stress-free as I sat down on a nearby bench and let out a deep sigh. Ah, what a peaceful day. I wanted to shout out my thoughts out to the wind. I tilted my head to the side suddenly. Huh? Wasn't there somewhere I needed to go? I took Otonashi Ryoko's memory notebook out of my backpack and opened it up, so I could verify what I was supposed to do. But my hand suddenly stopped. By chance, I opened my notebook to where it was covered by the drawing of a man. My heart thumped a little faster. Huh? Matsuda-kun? I couldn't spot any difference between the picture and the real thing, but my heart was only beating a little faster. Perhaps it's not really that similar after all. I guess I'll change it a little if I change it a little, it'd look more like him. It wasn't that I couldn't remember Matsuda-kun's face. I just needed to use my heartbeat in place of my memory. Maybe it's the eyes, or perhaps the mouth. I thought to myself as I drew. After some time, my heart was almost pounding like it would in front of the real thing. Yep, that's probably more similar. I patiently examined it. Oh, super happy I actually get to catch one of your streams being in the USA coast. It's usually after 11 p.m. here. Oh, yeah, God. I understand. I mean, I just decided to stream this a bit earlier than usual as well. Normally I do it in the afternoon, but I was sort of like, I can't really feel... I just kind of don't really... Like, if you stream in the morning my time, it's like, sometimes you're tired in the morning and don't really have the same kind of mood to want to, like, play video games kind of thing. But I guess the afternoon was like, 1, I thought about just going out for a walk in the afternoon. 2, at some point, groceries are coming. So I don't want to, like, stop the stream in the middle of the thing and be like, okay, I gotta get all the groceries back from the home delivery, yada yada yada. I just got done streaming myself, lol. Oh, that's cool. So, basically that's why I'm streaming now. And, like, in some ways it's good, but in other ways, like, 11 a.m. isn't necessarily the best time for me, but I'm just doing it one time. So, yeah. Welcome to the stream. Reading Danganronpa 0. Have fun. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Yep, that's probably more similar. I patiently examined it as I gazed at it. Matsuda-kun, Matsuda-kun, Matsuda-kun. I repeated his name in my mind. See? My heart's pounding. My heart beated faster. I think beat faster as I brought the portrait closer to my face. As I drew more, it made the feeling stronger. I don't think I'm perverted or anything like that, but I didn't want to kiss it in just a non-sexual way. I suddenly tilted my head to the side suddenly. Huh? Wasn't there somewhere I needed to go? With that thought in mind, I bid farewell to Matsuda-kun's picture and began flipping through my notebook. After turning through the pages for a short while, I finally remembered. At the same time, I could feel my mood take a dramatic drop. I don't know why exactly, but my whole body started to tremble. I remembered that ridiculous murderer's confession. That's right. Enoshima Junko also told her purposes that time. Kill your beloved darling, Matsuda Yasuke. She said, even if I don't remember, I'm still involved. I was still trembling. She couldn't be right. I should quickly warn Matsuda-kun of the crisis he's in. I needed to go to the biology building in the East District. That's where Matsuda-kun's neurology research is. I have no time to lose. I jumped up from the bench and started to sprint with all my strength. Right now, it was either break time or lunchtime. The school was crowded with students outdoors. I pushed past people as I ran at full speed across the pavement. Of course, the people I pushed past would scream and cry things like, "What? Yeah," but I didn't care. Anyway, as I was flying across the pavement, leaving my thoughts behind and spinning as fast as I could, I left any unneeded idle thoughts fly away with the wind. My bullet of love was shooting directly towards where Matsuda-kun was. I cut directly through the Central Plaza and arrived at the East District. I continued pushing the other students and practically dived towards the biology building. My throat was dry and felt painful, like me after breathing for an hour non-stop. In an instant, I was leaping up the stairs. My breathing was erratic and heavy. I continued to push down my thoughts, like how much my throat hurt or how much I'd like to take a rest, out of my mind, and kept spinning. As soon as I arrived at the lab, I didn't bother to knock on the door. Instead, I threw it open. "Matsuda-kun!" I screamed with my remaining strength. A short high school boy in the middle of the room straightened up in surprise and began trembling. His eyes were wide in surprise and turned to me. He was completely rigid and frozen. Somehow, he doesn't look familiar at all. Come to think of it, my heart isn't racing or beating any harder than usual. Could it be you're not Matsuda-kun? Hmm, that's not a clear answer. Which do you mean? I ended up yelling louder than I should have but it was because I was still panting. I meant I'm not him by Then where's Matsuda-kun? I quickly looked around the lab. God damn it, there's no one else here. He's out now, probably. That's... If you look, you'd know. I roared back at him. I was at my wit's end. Ah, come on! I felt my stamina rapidly disappeared and fell to my knees. Of all the times he could disappear, where did he go? I continued ranting while I sat on my knees. The young man ran over to me. It's fine. You shouldn't worry so much. I'm sure he'll be back soon. He looked down at me. Why was he so worried about me? He looked at me with such concerned eyes. Or maybe they were the opposite of worried. Maybe they were... Actually, you're a little suspicious, I stuttered. Huh? Or is your personality just like that? I mean, maybe you're the kind of person that stares at clearly distraught high school girls. Yee, keep away! I fell into my bum and tried to scoot away. The boy quickly turned away. Shocked, my skirt flipped up, and more my thighs were exposed. Yee! I patted down my skirt. The boy was still looking away with his face bright red and spoke up. I didn't do that. You seemed worried, so all I did was talk to you. You liar! This isn't the first time we've met. I'm a complete stranger. It's weird to be concerned for someone you've never met before. I bet you just have some ulterior motive, or secret intention, or evil plan or something. Huh? The atmosphere suddenly changed to a more serious tone. A complete stranger? He turned and looked straight at me, surprised. Ah, that reaction. So then, huh? Have we met before by any chance? As I said, the boy only looked more surprised, but only for a moment. He quickly changed his expression to a more formal one. My name is Naigi Makoto, he said, suddenly introducing himself. Bum bum bum! Look! Ah, I bet you weren't expecting Makoto to show up, but he does. It's a pleasure. As I replied, my line of sight dropped down to Otanashi Ryoko's memory notebook. Obviously, his name didn't sound familiar to me at all, but I checked for any sign of my name in his notebook. His name wasn't anywhere in there. So then we haven't met before. I sent him a confused look. He returned a puzzled expression. His reactions was just becoming more and more suspicious. No matter what he says, this guy is definitely a pervert. I held my notebook up in one hand, stood up and questioned him further. So why are you a student at this school? Huh? Don't have a reason? He really was suspicious after all. I stared at him, squinting my eyes. No, there's a reason. It's just... I wouldn't call it special. As his sentence fell apart, he looked away. He was just becoming more and more suspicious. I continued to squint my eye. I get it. The boy nodded reluctantly. It seemed he finally decided to talk. Since I'm particularly lucky. Excuse me? So I'm super high school level good luck. Super high school level good luck? There seemed to be one underlying problem I was pretty anxious to learn about. So you're saying your talent is good luck? I don't really get it either, but that's what the school told me. Every year, one person is chosen from a nationwide lottery of ordinary high school students, and that student is entered into the school under the title of Super High School Level Good Luck. So by chance, it turns out I was the winner. Somehow. That's kind of a jip. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Naigi couldn't seem just as troubled over his eye. Anyway, his innocence was becoming more and more apparent. However, I still had no reason to believe him. It's just much easier to accept as it was. Oh, it's much easier to just accept as it was, although I'm not sure. I'm not what you call a loose woman. So tell me, Mr. Super High School Level Good Luck, what is Mr. Super High School Level Good Luck doing in this lab? Tell me, are you an acquaintance of Matsuda-kun? No lies. Well... Naigi-kun pulled something out of his uniform pocket. It was something that appeared to be a thin smartphone. Matsuda Yasuke-san dropped this. It's always a hassle when someone loses something, so I thought I'd give it back to him, but... What is that? I've never seen it before. I'm sure this isn't your first time seeing it. Look, it's an electronic student handbook. Oh, no. This is... Hang on. I'm just like, what next? Wait, this is the. Oh wait, no. This person. Wait. No, I don't want that one. Okay, to be fair, this music would be appropriate for this scene, but I probably cut. It's probably not appropriate for everything else. What's we got here? Cool Morning's probably good. Ah, there we go. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this one. Yeah, let's start the killer game. No, I'm not. No. I want to be sane while reading this, okay? That's not going to be my... I'm not playing that while I read this. Nike-kun explained that this electronic student handbook was only given out to students from the main school. It's a high-tech piece of equipment with a variety of uses, as well as just acting like a student's ID. If a student doesn't present it, they lose access to some facilities. I found this by the bush in the courtyard. It's an inconvenience to lose this, so I thought I should come here so I could pass it back to him as quickly as possible. But he doesn't seem to be here. What? So then does that mean Nagi-kun is... It's no good! I can't do it! Oh, what? I can't say sorry for you for saying you were suspicious. You're only pretending to be a nice guy. I'm not suspicious. He quickly shook his head. I'm not pretending to be nice or anything either. I just came here to give back Matsuda-kun's lost item. Sorry, Matsuda-san's lost item. That's really all there is to it. Really? Really? Well then, I suppose whether or not there's any more to this, I'll just have to believe him for now. Fine, I see. You believe me now? Nagi-kun breathed a sigh of relief as he laid a hand to his chest. I turned to the boy. I pointed my index finger towards him. With the momentum, it made a stiffening sound effect like the one you read in manga. What you said was pretty misleading. You should have said from the very start that you weren't suspicious. Huh? Sorry. I don't know why he was saying sorry suddenly, but he had an apologetic expression on his face. But you know, I guess that makes you unlucky. I mean, coming all the way here to return a lost item only to find he wasn't here. I shouldn't be saying unlucky considering you're Mr. Super High School level good luck himself. No, I'm used to this bad luck now, Nagi-kun said, letting another bitter expression appear on his face. Claiming to be super high school level good luck, then saying he's used to his bad luck, somehow seems like he has a really unreliable talent. What a strange guy. He's strange. I don't think I could find a word that suited him more than that. That's it. He's a strange guy. Such an ordinary guy, he's strange. According to my notebook, all students at Hope's Peak Academy are motivated and look towards the future. They are highly competitive and overflowing with ambition. They're brimming with hope. If it were me in this situation, I'd end up feeling bad, I guess. But it didn't seem to be the case with him. That might be the reason why I think he's so strange. Nagi-kun suddenly interrupted my train of thought. But if that's true... Huh? Without realizing it, I had asked him to repeat himself. If what's true? It's nothing. It's not important, he replied hurriedly. It seemed like he was just talking to himself earlier. If it's not important, then you can tell me. What do you mean by if that's true? I ended up responding with an uncharacteristically strong tone of voice. Somehow this guy's entire nature and attitude make him strange. Hey, tell me already. If it's not important, then you should tell me. I'm right, aren't I? Hurry up and reply. Okay. You should reply with only okay once. I'm not your teacher. I only said it once, didn't I? Huh? Really? I've already forgotten. Whatever. Just hurry up and tell me. If you don't tell me already, I'll end up forgetting what it is you're telling me. Well, you see, I've only heard a rumor, so I'm not sure if I can believe it, but I thought it might be true. A rumor? I once again raised my finger towards him, pointing to it only a few centimeters away from his forehead. Was it a rumor about me? I won't stand for any awful rumors out there tainting my good name. No, it's nothing like that. So then, what sort of rumor is it? It's... Nagi-kun looked away from me before hesitantly continuing. The rumor said that there's a student that's become forgetful. Become forgetful? Somehow I couldn't say anymore. Any knowledge of stringing a sentence together had mysteriously disappeared. I was planning to ask him if he knew me before I became forgetful. Ah! I suddenly raised my voice. I shuddered as if I had been hit by a thunderbolt. What's wrong? Nagi-kun turned to me again with a worried expression. I quickly opened Otanashi Ryoko's memory notebook again and flipped through the pages and flipped and flipped and flipped. I saw a light that blinded my eyes for a moment. There was an explosion. The memories in my notebook and a flash of inspiration collided together and caused a violent chemical reaction. Sandwiched in my notebook was a single letter. Dear super high school level idiot forgetful girl, I'm the one who stole all your precious past memories that you so carefully wrote down. They're filled to the brim with memories of that Matsuda Yasuke. The part carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Am I right? It does. Hey, earlier you said that a student had become forgetful, didn't you? I was overtaken by an immense excitement. I stood up. So then, the students here know about me before I became forgetful. You too, right? You also knew me before I was forgetful? Speak up! Calm down! Nagi-kun desperately tried to settle me down. I don't really know, but it seems like it was due to some sort of illness, but I wasn't paying too much attention, since I'm not all really that good at talking to people. It's fine, just hurry up and tell me. Did you know me before I was forgetful? Did you? Well, that's... Go on. Yeah. He finally gave a small nod. I knew it, I confirmed to myself. The students at the school knew me before I'd become forgetful. That means that I'd become forgetful after coming to the school. So then what about that blackmail Enoshima Junko had written to me about my past memories? Did I really ever have such an important memory notebook? No, maybe it was all just a trap so she could get me to cooperate with her. In other words, a lie. So then what else did she say? Let's see, she told me she killed someone in the Central Plaza. She also told me that I had to kill Matsuda-kun. In the first place, does a person like Enoshima Junko even exist? As my thoughts circled through my head, I tried to remain focused on my notebook. Lie and Enoshima Junko were the two key phrases that were becoming more and more apparent. The words written on the page began to swirl around in my mind. They gradually grew faster, swirling, turning, circling. They mixed and mingled together. For some reason, the depths of my head began to tingle. It was a strange feeling. This sensation is... I feel like I'm remembering something. Hey! An annoying voice came pounding into my thoughts. It was Nagi-kun's voice. He didn't seem bothered by anything. I stopped concentrating on my notebook. I think I can always remember it. Hey, shut up. Hey! Come on, I'm trying to concentrate. Hey, would you shut up already? I shouted at him and raised my face from my notebook. I froze. I saw an unfamiliar man standing in front of us. Who is that? He grabbed Nagi-kun's shoulders. He wore an unfamiliar school uniform and had unfamiliar long hair. His pitch-black silhouette was vastly different than his ghostly white face. Piercing eyes, similar to a reptile, had been carved into his face. Okay. Our eyes met for a brief moment. A siren inside my head rang out, informing me of the dire emergency. I felt like I was having a heart attack as I felt my chest pound faster. Hey! Nagi-kun's face looked shocked. His entire body had gone stiff and he opened his mouth. He came after us. Do you know him? If you do, by chance, know him, could you do him a favor and tell him to let go of me? Unfortunately, it seems like I've got no idea who he is, I answered him. Wait, what was that? The strange man growled in a low voice. Don't tell me you've forgotten me already. That's a little harsh, isn't it? You really do know him? Nagi-kun asked in a puzzled voice, and the man's eyes drifted down to him suspiciously. Whether we have met before, or whether it's simply fate, neither of any concern to you. You've just been caught up in all. In the end, you just have bad luck. I quickly dropped my sight to my notebook and looked for memories about this stranger. There was only one person who came to mind. Could you be Madarai Ishiki-san? That's right. Late that night in the Central Plaza, I, Madarai, was killed by my own target. Killed by your own target? Despite what he said, he looked completely uninjured to me. I am immortal. Huh? Right, I am immortal. That's another line in the Danganronpa Zero white noise in DR2. The man sensed my doubt. He smiled broadly and chuckled strangely. Immortal? What is this, a fantasy-based novel? You're not being serious, are you? You sure about that? What do you mean? I am truly immortal. If I were not, I would be unable to explain to you how I am now uninjured. Well, I'm not sure about that, but how did you change the genre to something like a war-based game? Can I speak for a moment? Naegi-kun cut in. The guy who came in after us, Madurai-san, was it? If you are Madurai-san, you couldn't mean you're Madurai-san from the student council? Student council? I said without thinking. Somehow I could not see this creepy man dressed all in black in the student council. See, the boy knows. Madurai grimaced and closed his eyes before murmuring something. That's right, I am a survivor from the student council. Survivor? You're still pretending to be innocent after so long? Madurai opened his eyes and stared at me carefully. It's because of that incident all this happened. That incident is the reason behind the state of the student council now. I had luckily escaped with my life, but everyone else had. No, that's not it. Madurai shook his head as if trying to disprove his own words. Perhaps it was wrong for me to say it was lucky I was survived. It's more correct to say I simply remained alive. Yes, that's it. I luckily remained alive. I was not even given the chance to fight, and for that, I shall not forgive them. I absolutely shall not forgive them of stealing my chance to protect the student council. Who was it? Who did it? Madurai spat out as he clenched his hands around Naegi-kun's shoulders. The boy's face distorted in pain, but he still attempted to object despite his discomfort. Excuse me, I don't really know the details, but I understand you feel angry about what happened to the student council. And I understand that you hate the person who did this, but I think it might be good to instead considering rebuilding the student council before anything else. Rebuild it? Me? Madurai scoffed. Nah, in the first place, why do you even think someone like me belongs in the student council? Huh? I was only elected so the other members would be able to relax. After all, I'm only the super high school level bodyguard. I did what I could for the student council. In the past, now, and forever. I am just a protector, that's all. I heard Madurai grind his teeth. His voice was filled with bitter hatred. During that time of emergency, I was not fit to help them. I wasn't even a target during the incident. Perhaps the criminal did not consider me to be a member of the student council. Can you even imagine how humiliating this has been for me? I wasn't even given the chance to utilize my own talent. The feeling I had from having my own talent trampled on me was, oi, you bastards better be imagining what it felt like so you can relate. Madurai gripped Naegi-kun's shoulders even more tightly. The pain the young man felt only increased, and he yelled out. Now I can only protect the remaining dignity of the student council. It will not end until I've atoned for the student council. I must confront it. That's why I must exact revenge. I am no longer able to slack off. I am willing to do anything. The man's eyes were stained red, not focusing on anything anymore. In any case, the man seemed completely settled on the idea of pushing his point. I don't know anything about what happened. I ended up trying to excuse myself for whatever actions I did. I felt an overwhelming fear come over me as I desperately tried to make an excuse anyway. I don't have anything to do with the student council or know anything about any incidents that happened or anything dangerous to that sort at all. I'm just an innocent bystander. As if. Madurai disagreed. He sounded like he was making a death threat to his worst enemy. We talked about it earlier. You know all about that incident. I really don't know anything about it. If you think I'm lying, then please look at this notebook. I opened Otonashi Ryoko's memory notebook and waved it in front of Madurai. I haven't written anything in here about it. This is my proof. I don't know anything about it, and I have nothing to do with it. Would you cut the crap already? A voice overflowing with fury pierced through my notebook to me. That notebook of yours doesn't prove anything. Why are you hiding the truth? Are you the criminal's apprentice? Can't talk about it? Or maybe you're really... I said I have nothing to do with it! I suddenly screamed at him. I instantly regretted doing so. I only added fuel to the fire. I thought he'd be really angry at me, but it seems my prediction was way off mark. In fact, his face was surprisingly blank. His emotions had flatlined, he didn't even blink. Any concept of time bound the man had come to a complete stop. Naegi-kun sensed Madurai's malice and looked behind him timidly. Come to think of it, I haven't heard this boy's name yet, have I? He remained expressionless, only his mouth moving. Oh, sorry, that's Madurai saying, okay. I'm Naegi Makoto. Hearing that, Madurai laughed softly and leaned down to speak in Naegi-kun's ears. Say, Naegi-kun, are you listening to what I was saying before? Huh? Madurai suddenly released Naegi-kun's shoulders, only to place both of his hands on either side of Naegi-kun's head. Ah! Naegi-kun's face instantly morphed into a terrified expression. I said earlier, didn't I? I am willing to do anything for vengeance. Madurai looked like a demon as he opened his mouth. He smiled and laughed, his voice full of poisonous venom. This is bad. That guy is incredibly dangerous. Somehow, I was only left with the ability to shiver and tremble like a frightened little bunny. I have no choice but to make a run for it. And quick! You're not thinking of running, are you? Huh? My foot stopped in midair. If you do that, what do you think will happen to this boy here? Huh? Huh? Oh, huh? As I heard this, Nagi-kun's face just changed from blue to white. Wow, what a colorful face he has! This is the last warning you get, so watch yourself. If you don't obey me, this guy's head will be tragically crushed in an unfortunate accident. What the? I could only feel confused. Both of them looked at me. Say something. Madurai's stare intimidated me like he was about to do something reckless. Help me. Nagi-kun's eyes pleaded to me. Intimidating eyes and pleading eyes. Both weren't entirely focused on me, and what a bother. It was a bother to go to the hassle of doing something either. There's nothing I would really be able to do. There's nothing I would, or wanted to do, I guess. That's why, for me, this was something that had nothing to do with me. That's right. It has nothing to do with me. Sure, I happened to be swept along with the current, but that's all. I wasn't involved with the creation of this situation at all. I don't even know anything about what happened. That's why it has nothing to do with me, 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 nothing to do with me. I mumbled quietly, reminding the people in front of me, as well as myself. I was just mumbling my magic enchantment. Huh? Huh? Having heard that, both Madurai and Nagi-kun looked at me with vacant expressions. What do you mean it has nothing to do with you? A confused Madurai raised his voice. There's no way you're not involved. After all, it's your fault this boy here has been caught up in all this. You're wrong, I found myself replying flatly. I'm not the reason why he became involved in this whole thing. He got himself involved. It's not my fault he has god-awful luck. In the end, I really have nothing to do with this. Hey, waiter! As Naigi tried to interrupt me, I tried to raise my voice to continue my argument. It's a shame, but it's obvious Naigi-kun has no luck at all, I said in the calmest voice I could muster. He just has an insane power to take and give life because it's a complete lack of luck. So I think you have no choice but to give up. Anyway, no matter what the case is, I've already forgotten. After all, I forget everything sooner or later, with the exception of Matsuda-kun, so as far as I could see, there's nothing much out there that actually has anything to do with me. I continued to murmur to myself these words. In all truth, I really had nothing to do with it. Then I'll forget that too. My brief meeting with Nagi-kun, the information he knew, I'll forget all that as well. There's no reason for me to feel bad about him. So that's why I say, this has nothing to do with me. Have you decided what you're going to do? I don't know. I keep telling you this has nothing to do with me, I answered blankly. Is that so? I see. Madurai bared his teeth, murmuring in a low voice. I hope you're prepared to see the extent of my resolution. There really are strange people who are ready to go so far as kill another human in order to prove their point. It's insane to think he would accomplish anything by killing Nagi-kun. Nagi-kun really doesn't have any luck. He's gotten himself into a hostage situation after all. This is the end. Madurai gripped Nagi-kun's skull with all the strength of his hands and, "You're wrong!" A voice resounded throughout the room that seemed to dissolve the tension in the air. A crazy person ran to the lab. The figure appeared to slide towards Madurai, then hammered the back of their fist into the man's nose, making it bend a strange angle. Madurai squinted his eyes shut in pain. He seemed to lose sight of his attacker as he fell down. After getting Madurai's chest a prod, the stranger turned to Nagi-kun and grasped his head in their hands before moving to pick up Nagi-kun's up. They placed him gently on top of the bed and turned around. Madurai flew towards them. The stranger gracefully roundhouse kicked and hit Madurai square on the chin. The blow completely smashed his key point and rocked his head violently. He fell to the ground, having no energy left. By the way, this scene I just witnessed passed in the blink of an eye. The stranger skillfully landed without making a sound. After they finished their kick, their skirt gently flowed down. Oh, there is she. Ikusaba-san! Nagi-kun called out from the bed in relief. Ikusaba-san? It seems that this is this girl's name. Of course, this is the first time I've heard her name. Nagi-kun got off the bed and ran hurriedly to the girl. Thank you, Ikusaba-san! Thank you so much! He said, thanking her over and over and over again. However, the girl remained completely calm and composed in response. Well, I say calm and composed, but I think she just didn't feel anything. Mukuro Ikasaba, no longer unknown hidden 16 student. She's not hiding somewhere in the school. She is right here. I was only helping my classmate, she mumbled quietly to herself. Stubbornly, Ikasaba-san avoided his gaze. But it's odd, looking at her now, you wouldn't guess that she'd been just fighting brilliantly only a few moments beforehand. But Ikasaba-san, why are you here? I must admit, I was wondering the same thing. Usually it's only Matsuda-kun in this lab. That's what I written down in my notes. Also, it seems like he's absent today, but he's been getting a multitude of visitors. Maybe he's been working on something big? Ikasaba-san raised her voice slightly, but it was barely above a whisper. I listened carefully. I was just passing by? Why did you phrase it as a question? I asked without thinking. Ikasaba-san, you haven't changed one bit, Nagi-kun interrupted. So then you were just passing by when you came across what was happening and you came to save us, right? Ikasaba-san nodded in response. That's it, and you saved me. I was getting worried for a moment. Yeah, thank you, Ikasaba-san. Thank you so much. Nagi-kun sighed a breath of relief and continued to repeat his insincere thanks, matched Ikasaba-san's embarrassment. I was really lucky. You were just passing by. I was so lucky. Luck. Somehow that was how we were saved. Pure luck. But that is only in a manner of speaking. All thanks to such a strong person who was passing by, we were able to escape from such a predicament, but this luck was really convenient and good. On the other hand, though, Madarai's actions were inconvenient to say the least. So this is super high school level good luck. But if it is luck, I can't help but feel that it was because of all this that we were caught up in all this. Excuse me? Oh, excuse me? Now that I suddenly realized Ikasaba-san was standing right in front of me. I leaped back without thinking. Now that I think about it, did I really not notice her? Did she teleport? For some reason, Ikasaba remained silent. I waited for her to show any sort of sign of opening her mouth to speak, but I ended up giving up and raising my own voice. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for earlier. Huh? Nagi-kun raised his voice in surprise. He walked to us, invading our line of sight as he blinked in surprise. But what was so surprising? I'm Ikasaba Mukuro. I tilted my head to the side slightly in response. Ikasaba-san raised her voice a little more. I'm the super high school level soldier from the 78th class. Nice to meet you. Without even blinking, she moved her mouth as little as possible as she introduced herself. The moment she finished, she returned to utter silence. Speaking honestly, she seemed like a quiet girl by nature. Then again, she is a super high school level soldier. She probably acts like this around everyone. Perhaps every soldier is like this? However, I haven't met any members of the military before, so I have no way of knowing. I just don't know. I was in silence with her. Even Nagi-kun was silent, but he was puzzled as before. Madarai's still foaming at the mouth was of course silent too. Everyone was silent. An awkward silence. But the awkwardness didn't last long. After some time, I forgot about the awkward silence. Instead, another thought wandered in my mind. Now that I think about it, Matsuda-kun isn't here. That's right. The only thing I can ever remember is Matsuda-kun. I wonder if Matsuda-kun is on an errand. I want to see him soon. I hope he comes back quickly. My thoughts continued as I stared into space and the girl crouched down suddenly. I think her name was Ikasaba-san. What's wrong? Surprised boy, Nagi-kun, I think, asked. The girl replied in a warning tone. Someone's there. The atmosphere of the lab became much more tense. Huh? Hiding? Sorry for interrupting. I wasn't trying to hide, but you shouldn't spread rumors around people. It's Yuto. A voice rose and everyone instinctively looked around the lab. Huh? But no matter how hard we looked, there wasn't anyone there. No, I'm here! Look, over here! Where? Feeling somewhat panicked, I continued looking around the room restlessly. Oh, over there! Nagi-kun pointed out. Ikasaba-san walked to the laboratory door. I noticed a little later than the others. In front of a door stood a boy with a pure, innocent face. Oh, you finally noticed me. The boy's face lacked any distinctive features. His voice also had a complete lack of any unique tones. It took me a little while, but you noticed me in the end. Well, it's my talent's fault, so it can't be helped. I'll forgive you. Why is there a kid here? Nagi-kun suddenly said, taken aback by the boy. Hey, you shouldn't treat me like I'm a kid. I don't think it's rare to see someone with a baby face, but I'm a meritorious high school student at Homespeak Academy. I even went to the trouble of using a difficult word like meritorious. Oh, what's all this then? The boy's line of sight fell to where Madurai was. Oh my, oh my. It looks like you've gotten yourself into quite a mess. You're wrong about that. Nagi-kun quickly ran in between the boy and Madurai, trying to obstruct his view. How do I put it? It might look like a slight accident, but... The boy patted his hand on Nagi-kun's shoulder. Don't fret. There's no need to make excuses around me. I'm actually also investigating the case. Isn't that right, big sis? Huh? Despite having the reins of this great story hanging over to me, I didn't remember anything about it at all. I wasn't able to muster any more than, I guess so? And tilt my head to the side. Don't tell me you've forgotten about it again? He folded his arms and nodded happily. Well, I'm used to people forgetting who I am, so it's fine. It's just not a side effect of my talent. Look, I have no presence, didn't I? People who don't notice me very often, and they say they've forgotten about me a lot. But you know, big sis. The boy started rubbing his hands together and raised his voice again. I have a request from that time when you say my name, you remember it. Oh, sorry. I have a request that this time when I say my name, you remember it. My name is Kamishiro Yuto. I'm a super high school level spy from the 77th batch. Okay. So he is also the year above them. He's a year above Makoto's class. And I think then Yasuke is as well, but I'm not sure. Wait a second. I protested as the boy came closer to me. I opened up Otonashi Ryoko's memory notebook and tried to quickly find any memories mentioning the boy. I got it. Kamishiro-kun. I remember you. Kamishiro-kun with absolutely no unique features whatsoever. I wouldn't say none, murmured Ikasaba-san with a neutral expression. He looks like a doll made by someone with the creativeness of a politician. He gives off bad vibes. I didn't think she was the type to say things so bluntly. Kamishiro-kun glanced at Ikasaba-san for a moment, before returning his stare to me and said in a very over-the-top voice, Well then, it's really awful you're forgetful, big sis. When you first told me, I thought you were joking. I almost laughed. Oh wait, that isn't something you should confess in front of a person. Having heard him, Nagi-kun quickly interjected, but Kamishiro-kun paid him no mind. I don't need you to be careful. I always thought being careful was for losers, but I don't think you have any experience with that, do you, big bro? You see, I understand completely. Kamishiro-kun slipped past Nagi-kun and stood in front of me and made sure we were face to face before saying any more. You really are amazingly forgetful for saying such ditzy things that don't fit you, but I like it. Actually, there are a lot of girls out there who have ditzy personalities now that I think about it. In fact, my equipment below gets a little harder just thinking about them. We all blinked in surprise. The culprit was, of course, the blunt, explicit adult joke. Well, in any case, she's my client, so I'm genuinely relieved to see nothing happen to her. But in the end, Kamishiro-kun turned his line of sight back to Madurai. No matter how much I think about it, I can't decide if this is a bad situation or not. I thought it really was. You know, they say my personality is warm and friendly enough to melt all the ice cream in a convenience store. Though I suppose something like that is more of a pet peeve to me, to some. Is that another translator's note? I honestly can't make sense of this. That's probably just a translator's note. I think maybe it was overkill. Nagi-kun began once again to apologize about his situation. How to put it, perhaps it's better to say with self-defense? That's not what I meant, Kamishiro-kun said, hitting him lightly, as he walked over slowly to Madurai's body and mumbled to himself. Honestly, talk about a worst-case scenario. Well, it won't solve anything anyhow. But when he wakes up, will you resort to violence again? What will you do? You can't just leave him here now, can you? Well, if we all go to the security department and explained... We can't do that, big bro, he said at Nagi-kun, analyzing him. You do know I came all the way here just so I could have an important conversation to the big sis, my client. You understand? It's an important talk, got it? What I'm trying to say is we're too busy. But... Nagi-kun was completely overpowered by Kamishiro-kun's icy cold stare. Unexpectedly, a voice sounded out throughout the room. I'll do something about it. Everyone turned to look at Ikasaba-san. The girl quickly lowered her gaze to the ground and repeated herself. I'll do something about it. And can you do it by yourself? Kamishiro-kun asked, drawing closer to her. The girl nodded. The heck, do you even understand me? The next moment, Kamishiro-kun's eyes sparkled brightly. I see, I get it now. You can take care of this all by yourself? Hearing that really puts my mind to ease. Oh, by the way, it would be better not to mention this to the security department, since it'll be difficult to deal with them. Oh, wait a second, Nagi-kun interrupted again. If we don't properly explain the situation, Ikasaba-san would be blamed. Huh? Kamishiro-kun stared intently at Nagi-kun. I couldn't imagine his young face anymore and felt myself get hot. Nagi-kun remained dead silent. You still don't get me, even though I said 1,000,000 times already. Big Sis and I are busy. We have no time to help you clear this up. You side characters can go ahead and do it without our permission. In the first place, since you are the guys who resorted to such a violent solution, it makes you the bad guys. If it were me, I would have done a much better job. He continued to prattle on about his self-importance. Nike couldn't find any words to reply with, but somehow he had not yet lost his head. I don't know what that means. Ixaba-san murmured a little more. It's okay, I'll do something about it, so... Ixaba-san! It's fine. With one short sentence, Ixaba-san managed to silence the worrying Nagi-kun. Kamishiro-kun and I turned to one another and muttered, it might be good to head off now. Well then, it's decided! Kamishiro-kun had an innocent smile on his face and he clapped his hands happily. Leave the job to Big Sis over there! Idiotic Big Sis and I are going to go somewhere else. Kamishiro-kun grabbed my hand and with a quick, yay, let's go! He started acting like a child dragging his poor parent to the toy store. Oh, wait a moment. It's fine. You want to go back to your peaceful old life, don't you, Big Sis? So you should just quiet down and come in with me. Kamishiro-kun continued dragging me along until we reached the door of the lab. I looked back hopelessly. The ever-expressionless Ixaba-san and Nagi-kun, looking worried again, stood up. Nagi-kun took a single step. He had a look of determination. He quickly became startled, however. Ixaba-san had laid her hand on his shoulder. He turned back to look at him. She warned him and nodded softly, seeing that Nagi-kun seemed to give in. Relaxing his shoulders, he turned to look at me once more. The two figures disappeared in the distance. Now then, let's move on and do our best! The moment we entered the hallway, Kamishiro-kun excitedly cheered, let's solve your problem! Kamishiro-kun continued to walk, leaving me behind. Wait for me! I called out as I hurriedly ran to him, but my mind was drifting elsewhere. I was thinking about Nagi-kun looking at me for that last moment. His eyes sent me a burning feeling of unease. The individual named Naegi Makoto gave me a sense of unreliability and had a weak demeanor. With the depth of his eyes at that moment, there was an incredible strength from his very core that shook all my previous preconceptions of who this person was. He looked at me with a dazzling aura. Whether there was a problem, whether he had an unbeatable enemy, he would always have a strength so strong he could never give up. Such an unforeseeable person looked straight at me with those eyes. I don't understand how I can feel this way about such a strange, mysterious force. However, I doubt I'll ever need to know. After all, he has nothing to do with me. But that's not just the reason I'm using because it suits me. I just feel as though he basically has nothing to do with me. For example, as if we were in alternate dimensions. Surely, Nagi-kun's story and my own story will never cross paths again. In conclusion, we have nothing to do with each other. I felt like that for some reason. So, I'll forget that boy with a reason. That was what I concluded as I walked down the biology building hallways. In fact, in just a matter of minutes, I completely forgot his existence. Okay, interesting that it's... Like, I don't really feel like anything actually really happened in that chapter, but at the same time, it's very... I do love that bit at the end here, where he's just like... Ryoko's just like, huh, you know, Nike seems like a complete total pushover and isn't very impressive at all, but in that one moment where he seemed like he was worried about me going off with Kamishiro-kun and wanted to do something about it before Mukuro told him it was okay, he seemed to have this strange aura to him, like he was actually kind of badass. And it's very cool, especially, you know, once you get to it all. It's kind of like, yeah, even Ryoko can kind of sense whatever that kind of power that Makoto Naegi actually has. The ultimate hope power. That's like a literal superpower. It's very cool. It's very cool. But yeah, besides that, nothing much. And conveniently, this stopped. Alright, so anyway, that is page 138 and chapter 4 in book 2. That's where I'm going to be up to, and that's where I'm going to be leaving off the stream for now, because as you can tell, my everything is scrambled a bit, and I want to have something to eat. So, I'm glad I got to that scene, because that part was, yeah, like Nike, like Makoto has nothing to do there, but that part at the end was just like, wait, was he just did he just look like a badass for a second there?
Oh well, I think it's nothing to worry about. I'm going to forget completely about it. All right. Anyway, thank everybody for showing up as usual. Thank you for showing up, and it's been fun. Obviously, I'm just doing whatever. It's not a big deal, but yeah, I'll probably won't stream the rest of today, but I'll see what happens next, and then maybe I'll do it next weekend. I'll speak to you guys then. Can you stream for another 22 hours straight? My request is reasonable, right? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Gimstar. I am, believe it or not, I'm a human being. I'm gonna go out with the weather season. Yeah, I might go for a walk as well soon after I have lunch. So yeah, everybody, thanks for showing up as usual, and yeah, I appreciate having people to who are also interested in this kind of stuff when I'm actually doing it. So it's fun, it's nice, and I felt like I should do some kind of content creation to feel like I'm still a being of the internet, even if I'm also a being of the real world. So yeah, thanks everybody for showing up, and I'll speak to you soon. See ya.